Have you ever had a completely normal conversation and then lost the next 3 hours to one sentence? Not the whole conversation, just one moment. Something you said, the way they looked at you, that tiny pause before they replied. And now your mind keeps going back to it like there's something hidden inside it. Something important, something dangerous, something you missed. But here's the strange part. If replaying conversations was actually helping you, why does it leave you feeling worse every single time? Because this isn't just overthinking. It's something much deeper. And once you see it, you'll understand why your brain keeps doing this, even when you desperately want it to stop. It usually starts innocently. You leave the conversation. You sit down. You unlock your phone. And then, without even deciding to, your brain presses replay. Why did I say that like that? Wait, did they think I was weird? That joke felt off, didn't it? Why did they pause before answering? Did I talk too much? Did I seem awkward? Did they lose respect for me a little bit? And then your brain does what it always does. It starts zooming in, not on the parts that were fine, not on the moments where nothing went wrong, just the one thing that might mean something. That one facial expression, that one change in tone, that one reply that felt slightly flatter than usual. And suddenly, you're not remembering the conversation anymore. You're investigating it, like there's a hidden truth buried inside it. A truth about what they really think of you. A truth about whether you embarrassed yourself. A truth about whether you belong. And if you've ever done this, you know the worst part isn't even the conversation itself. It's that your brain makes it feel urgent. Like if you don't solve this now, something bad will happen later. But why would your mind treat one small social moment like an emergency? That's where the real reason begins. Your brain is not replaying the conversation because it loves drama. It's replaying it because, in that moment, it registered social uncertainty as danger. That's the part most people miss. To your logical mind, it was just a conversation. But to a deeper part of your brain, it may have felt like a test. Was I accepted or rejected? Did I stay connected or lose status? Am I safe with this person or did something shift? And when your brain can't clearly tell which one it was, it doesn't relax. It reviews. Because your mind has an ancient job. Spot the threat early so you can avoid pain later. And social pain matters to the brain much more than people think. Being judged, excluded, ignored, misunderstood. These don't just feel unpleasant. To the nervous system, they can feel like a threat to belonging. So your brain starts acting less like a memory system and more like a surveillance system. It replays the footage, rechecks the signals, scans for what went wrong. But here's where it gets dangerous. What if your brain isn't replaying the conversation to understand it? What if it's replaying it because it already assumes something went wrong? That changes everything. This is where negativity bias quietly takes over. Your brain is built to notice what might be wrong more than what's probably fine. So even if the conversation was 95% normal, your mind zooms into the 5% that felt uncertain. One weird pause becomes a signal. One neutral face becomes a clue. One dry text becomes evidence. And because social overthinkers usually hate uncertainty more than discomfort, your brain keeps asking, but what did that mean? No, really, what did that mean? That's why you don't get stuck on obvious rejection as much as you get stuck on ambiguous moments. Because clear pain ends, unclear pain lingers. If someone openly disliked you, it would hurt, but the story would be complete. What traps you is the unfinished story, the maybe, the possibility, the not knowing. And when your brain can't get certainty from reality, it tries to manufacture certainty by replaying the scene. But there's one deeper reason this hits some people harder than others. And if this part applies to you, it explains why even tiny social moments can feel so emotionally loud. Sometimes replaying conversations isn't really about the conversation. It's about what the conversation might say about you. Maybe somewhere along the way, your brain learned that being liked is fragile. That one wrong sentence can change how people see you. That if you're not careful, you'll become too much or not enough. So now, after social interactions, your mind doesn't just ask what happened. It asks, did I ruin it? Did I lower my value? Did I make them pull away? Did I become less lovable in that moment? And this is why replaying conversations feels so personal. You're not just reviewing behavior. You're checking for damage. Damage to connection. Damage to belonging. Damage to identity. But here's the trap almost no one talks about. The more you replay conversations to feel safe, the more unsafe your brain starts to feel in conversations. Why? Because your mind is learning the wrong lesson. Every time you replay a conversation for an hour, your brain quietly concludes, "This must be important. We should pay even more attention next time." So next time, instead of just talking, you start monitoring. While the conversation is still happening, part of you is no longer present. It's watching yourself from the outside. Am I sounding normal? Should I say less? Did that come out weird? Was that too much eye contact? Should I laugh? Was that oversharing? And the more you self-monitor, the more unnatural you feel. Then that unnatural feeling becomes proof that something is wrong. So after the conversation, you replay it again. Now the cycle is complete. You overanalyze because you feel socially unsafe, and then the overanalyzing itself makes social situations feel more unsafe. That's why this habit becomes addictive. Not because it helps, but because it promises help. It tells you, just think a little longer and you'll finally understand. But do you? Or do you just end up feeling more ashamed, more tense, and less like yourself? That question matters. Because once you see what replaying is actually trying to do, the whole pattern starts to look different. Here's the real reason you replay conversations in your head. Your mind is trying to protect you from future rejection by convincing you that if you analyze enough, you can avoid it. That's the hidden promise. If I study this hard enough, I'll never be caught off guard again. If I find a mistake, I can prevent the pain. If I decode every signal, I can stay in control. But social connection doesn't work like a math problem. There is no perfect equation where, if you say the exact right thing in the exact right tone, everyone will understand you, approve of you, and never misread you. That world doesn't exist. Real human interaction is messy. People are distracted. People project. People misunderstand. People pause because they're tired, not because they hate you. People text dry because they're busy, not because you ruined everything. And sometimes, yes, a moment is awkward. But awkward is not catastrophic. Awkward is not identity. Awkward is not proof that you are failing at being a person. The overthinking mind keeps asking, how do I make sure I'm never socially wrong? But maybe the more honest question is, why do I believe being socially imperfect is so dangerous? And once that question appears, the whole pattern starts to crack. Because maybe the deepest problem was never that you replay conversations. Maybe it's that some part of you has confused imperfection with rejection. So a normal, messy human moment feels loaded. A pause feels like distance. A misunderstanding feels like exposure. An awkward sentence feels like a threat to your worth. That's why your brain can't let it go. Not because the conversation was that important, but because what it might mean about you feels important. And when you realize that, something shifts. Because then replaying stops looking like a personality flaw. It starts looking like fear in disguise. A very intelligent fear. A very vigilant fear. A fear that thinks if it watches closely enough, you'll never get hurt. But you and I both know that's not what happens. It doesn't protect your peace. It steals it. And maybe healing begins here. Not when you force your mind to stop thinking, but when you stop treating every imperfect interaction like a verdict on your value. Some conversations will be awkward. Some people will misunderstand you. Some moments will stay unresolved. That is not failure. That is the cost of being real with other humans. So if you replay conversations in your head, it doesn't mean you're broken. It probably means you've spent a long time trying to stay emotionally safe in places where you weren't always sure you were accepted. And your mind adapted the best way it knew how. By watching everything, remembering everything, questioning everything. But you were never meant to live your whole life under that kind of internal surveillance. You are allowed to be unfinished in front of people. You are allowed to be slightly awkward. You are allowed to say something imperfect and still be worthy of connection. And maybe that's the truth your mind has been missing this whole time. You do not have to fully solve every conversation to be okay after it. If you want more videos that help you understand your mind without judging it, subscribe. Because sometimes the fastest way to feel less trapped in your thoughts is to finally understand why they were there in the first place.